Everybody listen to We're Not Wizards, because we are the best, and we're not wizards, no matter what anybody says. Goodbye.
Welcome to another episode of We're Not Wizards. My name's Richard. I'll be your host for Season 6. We're doing season numbers now. And I thought I could go out. I could get somebody exemplary, because I didn't want to get somebody that was maybe a bit lacking. So what I wanted to do is get something maybe a bit standard instead. And I wanted to know where I was. I didn't want somebody who's maybe game lost. I was maybe wanting somebody who's GameFound. I was wanting somebody who maybe had a look in the future, but maybe had a bit of a past about him, somebody with a couple of priors. So joining me from Standard Tabletop, from GameFound, it's Mr. Luke Pryor.
Yeah! Hello!
You're right.
I was holding myself back in there. I will admit that was a good intro. I appreciate that.
There you go.
The GameFound, game lost one, that caught me. That caught me good.
I was kind of practicing, because I'm aware that I've not done this for a while, so it was almost like a kind of a Rocky type style. I tied several adjectives to chickens and I chased them round a yard in order to catch
with moderate
the most
success.
Appropriate one.
Moderate success.
Well, obviously, I mean, I've got a little bit of lockdown weight going on. I must admit, I had to stop a couple of times and kind of catch my breath, but it's all incredibly good. Hello, how are you?
I'm very well. How are you? The triumphant return.
It's kind of like that, isn't it? But we'll just need to see, because if it doesn't take off, I'll go back in a huff again and say, right, I'm off.
Well, if this was the tester to go like, this will get the numbers, you've drastically misread this situation. I do not have pull.
Well, I'm kind of, it's at 100%, I'm just going to say. Now, you know what that means, and I know what that means, but, I'm unplugging it now. Well, no, because to give a bit of a history, because we're going to do this topsy-turvy. This is going to be like a gonzo as whatever episode, because it's been so long since anybody's spoken. We've met in person.
Yeah. I
subjected you to potentially one of the most longingly painful jokes ever.
I love that joke. I've told that joke several times since.
Such a good joke. But we're not going to be telling that joke on the episode today.
That would lead,
That's not.
To get that joke, you have to meet one of us in person to get that joke. Then we'll deliver it.
It's, we're not a comedy podcast. We're not here to entertain you or make you smile. That's
right.
That's not what we're here. We're here to talk about certain things. We're here to talk about the land of tabletop as it is and where it is just now. We're also here to talk about Luke and find out an awful lot more about Luke. Because as I say, me and Luke cross paths. We cross paths at Aircom, cross paths at our secret getaway as well.
The secret getaway that Dan has mentioned publicly on his quite popular podcast several times.
He has, yeah. And also the one that Ben wasn't able to go to.
I was gutted about that. I was very gutted. I think a lot of people were gutted that Ben didn't turn up.
I was absolutely...
Not didn't turn up, but couldn't make it.
I was kind of like, yay, Matthew Jude's here. And then I was like, Mike DeLissio's here, I guess. And then it was like, but Ben's not here. And I was just like, right, I'm home. That's why I went.
Is that it? When he finally said, that's it, I can't make it, you were like, cool, done, see ya, bye. In fact, did you say bye? I don't think you did. It was just a case of you told me that joke, the game finished, and I never saw you again.
I just got up and left. I just actually left the game down there as well.
Walked off into the wilderness of Yorkshire.
I was kind of like, I was like John Wayne at the end of The Searchers. I put my I put my hat on, and I walked out the door.
You were like
I shot it behind me.
You're like Judge Dredge's mentor, just in Mega City 1, just opened the gates and walked out into the wastelands with just a shotgun and a will to live, you know.
The radioactive moorlands of Yorkshire.
Came across a man with a chainsaw, and he's still here, so obviously you made it. Well done. Well done.
Yep. I am a fighter at the end of the day. For everybody who's listening, thanks for listening.
For both of you, thanks for coming.
Thanks for coming back. The reason that we do this is because there's not enough podcasts out there about tabletop. You know, you should try. I mean, if you go to like one of the famous groups, and you put the question, "Can anybody recommend any podcasts about tabletop?" They're literally folk insult them and tell them to just be quiet and have a seat. Because every single time somebody talks about a board game podcast, you know, it's the same thing.
Yeah.
So I'm hoping to expand that out there so people know. And the other reason that I'm doing this is because, look, I like the sound of my own voice. And as I said in the video, right, I took like about 8 months off. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I was expecting people to catch up. I was expecting somebody to go, right, I'm going to be recording lots of episodes. And nobody did. So, a disappointment in my heart, disappointment in my soul. I was kind of like negative Rod Stewart, basically.
It wasn't because anybody thought, right, I'm going to try and fill the shoes of a man who isn't a wizard. They were like, well, now my mentor, my inspiration, my muse has now gone. So that's it. That killed any inspiration. Before, when you were here, there were loads of people sitting there going, I could do better than this. You know? So when you left, there were people just going, well, okay, yeah, these ones that are here, they're pretty good.
Fair enough. It's like you're talking about shoes to fill, and I don't think people realise they were talking about Imelda Marcos levels of shoes. Really, when it kind of came down to it. But anyway, I digress.
So how have you found your break? Let me start. I'll start the interview by interviewing you. How have you found your little sabbatical? How have you found it?
Have I? In all honesty, apart from not kind of speaking to people and recording it, I've still been doing stuff. I mean, it's not like I've disappeared off the map. In fact, I've never had YouTube, so many kind of board games sent through me, to be honest.
Are they good ones?
Yeah, there's been a few. Which have been, in fact, quite a lot that have been quite decent. I've been pleasantly surprised by my ability to kind of not see the good in anything, but see the potential in a lot of things, and give some people kind of like a little, maybe a bit of an easy ride, but also at the same time level criticism when it was required. So I've been balanced in middle of the road, as every good tabletop reviewer could be.
Absolutely, yeah.
You have to be. I think it's like I've let certain phrases creep in, like, you know, if you're a fan of the genre, then you might like this. I've kind of brought that in. I think that's an important phrase to bring in. No, I was YouTubing, making videos, learning that, doing some more writing.
Did you enjoy it? Did you enjoy all the editing and stuff?
Actually, I did, yeah. I did, yeah, because it's a new skill and it's new fun, and you learn all these little tricks and stuff like that, and also you realise that whereas how to put it, do you know the run-up to preparation for the podcast, and you can get ready for a podcast in 5 minutes, if both people know what they're doing, then it's a very, very easy environment to create. When you're creating a video, you're looking at your lighting, you're thinking almost having a storyboard what your shots are and everything like that to make sure you get in. The number of times I had thought I'd recorded everything, and then a couple of days later had to set everything up again so I could record some missing bits. Oh, it's just, so it was a bit, but it was fun learning kind of all these new kind of skills and stuff like that. And now I've got my very super fast charging phone, the recording of videos and stuff like that is very, very, very easy. And the stuff that you're able to do is, I know, I was kind of like, you kind of think, do I get new equipment? Do I invest in kind of like a really expensive kind of camera to make it look really good? And it's like, no, I didn't need to. Just needed to say yes when they asked me if I wanted to upgrade my phone.
That's all you needed. Yeah,
it was fine. It was absolutely fine.
I'm pretty sure that's how the Schneider Justice League cut came around. He filmed it first, and then he upgraded his phone, and then we got this 4-hour version. And it's because Vodafone just gave him a quick call, and they were like, the iPhone 12 Pro's out now, mate. This iPhone 12 Pro is amazing. You'll get Ben Affleck in 4K, and it's amazing. Batfleck will never look so good. We'll get rid of that weird little floaty lip that Henry Cavill had on your Samsung.
That was a slow-mo feature. He was like a slow-mo feature.
Exactly, the slow-mo. He clearly had an iPhone. He's
clearly got this. Clearly got that. That's what it is. He's got like a slow-mo feature on his phone, and that's what he did it. Somebody said to me that if you actually played all the slow-motion parts of the Snyder Cut at normal speed, the film is only 92 minutes long.
That might be half true. There is a lot of slow-mo in that.
There is a lot of stuff that's kind of like that. It's like, it's kind of like, so what do I have to do then, Barry? Well, you just need to sign the form, Bruce. Here, let me give me that pen.
Operatic music over signature in slow motion.
Exactly. With a kind of like the airwaves as the ink impacts the kind of the paper kind of swishing back and forward.
It's ironic
very,
actually
very
that Flash spends almost the entire time in the movie moving really fast in slow motion. They hardly ever actually depict him going really fast. They hardly ever see the reality of Flash. You see this slow down. Obviously my miming and
like
Richard's miming is not coming across. But
it's
you never see
miming.
Flash run fast.
Absolutely.
You see him run
Absolutely
super
fantastic.
fast in slow mo.
The scary thing about having you on the podcast is that you know what you're doing in terms of broadcasting, because you were doing stuff with Captain Cook himself when you
me and Mark have done quite
basis.
a lot. Yeah,
you've done like tons of stuff. You're like almost like some kind of miniature media empire without obviously the commitment to creating a lot of content.
I think I'm a little bit
occasionally doing it now and again.
I think I'm a little bit like Puff Daddy or Sean Coombs, whatever, P Diddy, whatever his name is this semester. I think I'm not the front man. I'm not what you came to see, but I add quality to the product, and I'm always there. I think that's my best.
I think it's good to have.
Best
I think
way
it is
I
good
can,
to have faith in yourself. I think it is good to have faith in yourself.
Misplaced faith, but
delusional.
faith nonetheless.
Delusional.
Yeah, absolutely.
I was going to say
Yeah.
You could say misplaced. I could say potato.
Delusional. Delusional's a bit much, but all right. Yeah. Okay. But yeah. Me and Mark have done a lot of stuff. Yeah. We did the ranking for ages, which seemed like bloody forever. Yeah. We did that for ages. Then we did a hell of a lot of quizzes over lockdown. How many? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. We did like 16, 17, 18 episodes of the quiz, and we're doing that again in April for a one-off for when aircon can't be aircon. So we're doing aircon quiz.
It's very, very, very sad. It's very, very sad indeed. But you're in an extraordinary place, and this is where I turn back into my Michael
I don't think
Parkinson,
Hilgi in
somebody
Norfolk's
called me.
extraordinary, but yeah, all right. Yeah.
Well, do you know what somebody
It's
said
pleasant.
to me the
It's
other
not
day?
extraordinary.
Somebody said to me the other day, they said to me, you're kind of like the Lorraine Kelly of tabletop.
Yes, you are. Although you wear a cardigan
Hello.
better than her.
I do.
Oh, hello.
I do, and at least I pay my taxes. But anyway.
Truth bombs dropped on Lorraine Kelly. Are you listening, Lorraine?
She does. I'll be getting an angry text when this comes out, I'll tell you that.
She started listening because she heard that she was considered the Richard Simpson of daytime TV.
Poor woman.
And she was like, "Ooh,
But you're in the extraordinary position right? And I'm going to cut across you and take over this conversation because I know what you're like.
Sorry.
You're like a red rag to a bull, even with your top, which doesn't look like it's not a red rag. But you're in the extraordinary situation where you are, unlike a lot of people who look to having a career in the tabletop business, and you actually have found yourself in a career in the tabletop business with GameFound.
Yeah.
Which has had an extraordinary kind of period of growth. And I kind of, for those who aren't aware what GameFound is, it's like a pledge manager. And that means if you, and for those who aren't aware what a pledge manager is if you go through, like, say, Kickstarter, then basically once all the funds are collected, then sometimes some of the projects, what they like to do is they like to organise the ability for people to pledge extra money after the event, but also it allows the individual to be able to control and see where we are in the project. So for an awful lot of time, GameFound was sitting in the background and a lot of really big campaigns were using it. And then over the piece, GameFound have actually turned around and said, we're now going to be offering our own kind of our own platform to allow people to kind of crowdfund. Mm-hmm. And you, at the moment, you're involved in that. You're working in that. Am. So how did that kind of come around then? It
was certainly. I mean, I won't sit there and go, when I joined in September and I pitched the idea, No, I mean, yeah, when I joined in September, it was not really news to anybody out there. For a little while towards the end of the year, it was kind of like one of the worst kept secret in board gaming. Yeah. But it was news to me when I joined, and I got told it in my first week. I didn't know about it in the interview or anything like that. So yeah, I mean that's been a really exciting thing to be a part of, because it's kind of the way I've started describing it is it kind of feels like being part of a little sort of board game revolution sort of thing. It's nice to it's awesome for me personally just to be in the industry and finally doing a job around stuff that I genuinely care about, and you kind of you don't realize at first you've got lots of jobs and you think, oh yeah, I'm good at my job, I like my job and stuff, and then you actually find a job you like and you're like, oh wow,
that's what it's like.
No, I just very tolerant of my job, beforehand. Even the jobs I thought I really liked, I was just very tolerant of. So yeah, I mean, I already thought I had joined the industry at one point because I joined Zatu for a little brief window and I set up the board game cafe, and I left Zatu because I kind of realised, one, the work-life balance for it just didn't work, and it was really affecting my son, and that was something I couldn't reconcile that in a way that kept me working for Zatu, basically. So I had to leave, and that was a real dark time for me because I left a very stable job with Screwfix, big, massive nationwide company, loads of room for progression if you want it. Kind of took the bit of a risk with Zatu, thought, yes, that's it, I'm in, I've got my foot in the door, I'm in the industry. Then very quickly realised, oh, actually, no, I'm just doing more bloody retail that I couldn't give a toss about, kind of thing. And that really sucked, and it was real hard, obviously being a family man and having a mortgage, to just go, I've got to leave, and I stepped right back from management and everything like that, and started just working in a local restaurant and being a waiter for tips, and that was all good. And because the restaurant was just down the road, it was perfect, because all of that work-life balance that was kind of like a bit of an issue with Screwfix and most of my jobs beforehand, because I've always worked unsociables, weekends, evenings, and stuff like that. It's been my career.
Yeah.
So then when although working unsociable hours, I was just down the road. I wasn't a manager anymore. I came home and I didn't have anybody emailing me saying, do you know where you put last year's audit paperwork? Or did Brian fill out a return to work form when he came back because he had a cold last week? And none of that nonsense. I could literally just leave work and leave work, So that was a really nice time for me to just not care about work. And then for those who know him, Martin Poole, who previously worked for GameFound, I've kind of known him via Facebook and meeting at Aircon and stuff like that, because he's very good friends with Nick Welford, who I knew very well with Zatu and stuff like that. So yeah, we kind of knew each other reasonably well. And basically when he got an offer from Backakit to leave, that kind of was an offer he couldn't refuse. Not saying Backakit are the mafia, but but yeah, so he got an offer that he didn't want to leave GameFound, but he got a really generous offer. So he said to Marcin, the CEO of Awakened Realms of GameFound, he said, well, this is the guy who I think should replace me, because he came on a very similar path to me. He was a Trade Plus manager at Screwfix, and in a outgoing personality sense, we're very similar. We'll talk to anybody, and we're not shrinking violets. Not maybe quite as vocal about some things online as Martin Poole has been in the past, but he knows that.
Look, I'm zipping. The mouth is being zipped up.
But I owe him a lot. He's he pushed me forward, and I will be ever in his debt for it. And it was one of those things. I mean, it was a weird time to start a new job for a company based in Poland that is a work from home position for me, and obviously always will be. A lot of people obviously the last year have been working from home, but I did a video interview, and it's kind of weird when you get interviewed by somebody you know of, but in a very different sense. When I got interviewed by the area manager of Screwfix, I assured you I'd never heard of the man before in my life, and he didn't really care that I hadn't, But obviously, Marcin, I was like, wow, this is the guy who owns bloody Awakened Realms, and so it was all very quite surreal, and being the kind of the person I am, I was like, well, I definitely want to do this job, but then I think, am I going to like just working from home all the time? Am I gonna feel like I never escape my job? And am I gonna like not seeing people? Am I going to be able to deal with that? And then I actually realize, when you get to your 30s and stuff, I stop not caring about the people I work with, but they're not my friends anymore. They're my colleagues. I get on really well with them at work, and we have a great laugh. Yeah. But when I've left a job, there's the older I get, the fewer people I take away from it afterwards.
No, I totally see that. I think when you're younger and there's always like a party atmosphere. Yeah. I mean, I think everybody's had their kind of their McDonald's job or their fast food job, where everybody got paid every 2 weeks, and then every time everybody got paid, everybody went to the pub. Yeah, and there was all this stuff kind of going on. And as you get older, you're kind of like, as people leave, it's like, we'll stay in contact, and you just know 6 months down the line, you've kind of the texts kind of fade away, and then the next thing you know, you're kind of hovering over the unfriend button on Facebook, or block, depending on how things are kind of going. But, in terms of GameFound itself, to me, because I'm very aware that opinions and stuff like that, because the company that you're working with, but I'm very aware that Kickstarter itself needed competition. Oh,
massively. I mean, yeah,
massively absolutely. Needed competition, and I didn't think it was coming from Indiegogo, because in order for something like Indiegogo to compete with Kickstarter, it needed to have the similar kind of funding model. And Indiegogo seemed to be, give us money, and you're giving people money until it finishes. And I think, GameFound has come in with some pretty similar ideas. I wouldn't say there's a huge difference to backers if they look at both models.
It's not a carbon copy, but it's what I like about our platform is it's built with the knowledge of pledge managers, because the trouble with Indiegogo is it's trying to be an alternate Kickstarter, whereas GameFound isn't really trying to be an alternate Kickstarter. No. It's trying to be crowdfunding for board games, and that's not what Kickstarter is. It's what it happened to be bloody good at, and well, I'll rephrase that. It's what it happened to be very predominantly used for. Wouldn't necessarily say it's actually that good at it, because otherwise pledge managers wouldn't exist. GameFound wouldn't exist if Kickstarter was really good for what it does. But because of the way the system works, you need that thing at the back end to sort everything out. So then, luckily, because obviously GameFound is tailored around tabletop, and it is going to have some other things like the odd maybe video game stuff and geeky related stuff like maybe some graphic novels or comic books, something like that, but nothing stretching very far from tabletop, all very tabletop adjacent. And because obviously it's a well developed and quite seasoned pledge manager, the whole thing has been built with all of that in mind. So it's such a smoother process, overall in every sense than Kickstarter is, and then going from Kickstarter to BackyKit or CrowdOx or GameFound or Pledge Manager. And, so it's great that GameFound doesn't want to take on Kickstarter. It just wants a slice of its cake. That's it. It's not trying to bring down Kickstarter. That's never going to happen.
No, I think Kickstarter's doing a good job at that.
It's a sad truth.
No,
of
I'm
it.
not. This isn't because I've used the Kickstarter platform for years, but I think it's been a long time coming for something to be specifically there for the tabletop space.
Yeah.
And also, I think there also needs to be a look at a bit more in terms of kind of like responsibility and interactivity and people being more aware of the community. I've seen a lot of cases, and you hear about them and you see them actually in the news about kind of fraud cases and stuff like that, where, the Hero Quest remake was one of them, where I think there's a company in Spain that's currently kind of the people have been arrested over it and stuff like that. And the thing that always kind of bites me a little bit with Kickstarter is, or any crowdfunding platform, is it's the same model with kind of like Patreon, it's the same model with any of these kind of platforms, is that we're kind of providing a service, we're willing to take the money, we're not willing to have the responsibility with it. Now with GameFound, is there because you seem to be more focused on specifically on going straight into kind of like the tabletop side of things as well, does that mean are you more picky with the projects that you pick? Because you don't seem to be kind of getting in, Cards Against Humanitarians. There doesn't seem to be 15 of those projects currently on GameFound. At
the moment, we are in like a closed beta, so it's invite only. And we've had obviously a lot of requests to come on, to the beta, and people saying like, when's it opening, which has been so encouraging, like ridiculously encouraging, because it was very much one of those things where we sort of flicked the switch. It was like, well, let's see what happens, and
as if nobody turns up. It's like me and my YouTube videos.
Yeah,
it's like
no, my YouTube videos and my Twitch stream.
Can't even get my mum to look at them.
So, like, Mum, can you watch this for 7 hours, please? On repeat.
Thanks.
It was one of those things. I mean, when that first day, when Vanguard got announced and stuff like that, and I was trawling through all the groups on Facebook and everything, and the general buzz was so positive, and I was looking hard for all the criticisms because I knew they'd be there. It's social media. I didn't look on Twitter because nothing positive's on Twitter. So, except your one very famous tweet. It's one of the few things I like on Twitter.
You're all welcome. You're all welcome.
So, everything was really good. There was a few naysayers and stuff like that, and that's fine. You can't please everyone. You never will, and you'll break your back in two trying to do it. So, fruitless task. So yeah, I mean, it's been really positive. It's been really well received. So we we started off. Obviously, Vanguard was an obvious thing to start it off with, and that's kind of a lot of people sit there and go, well, yeah, well, when it's not Vanguard, we'll see if it actually works. It's like, well, at the end of the day, that is also GameFound and Awakened Realms. They're not the same company, but it is still
pretty close.
Yeah, it's like, well, we're gonna do it. We have faith in our own thing. As it were.
Were you surprised with the reception that ISS Vanguard got? Because I kept looking at it and just going, This is ridiculous.
In what sense? What do you mean?
The money it was going to was
it probably
phenomenal.
It probably didn't do as well as it would have on Kickstarter. Probably would have done a smidge better. There is definitely, I fall into. I'm a bit ambivalent about it at the minute because I see both sides of it. So in one sense, people say, there's the draw of Kickstarter, and I get it, but then, there are, Kickstarter does show you every now and then, because, you might like this, or when you log into Kickstarter, you might like this. I don't really look at much of that, but then I'm not one of these people that browses Kickstarter, and from what I can tell, there are those people. That does exist. Well, in fact, I do browse it, but for work. I never did before. But then there's the other thing where I say, well, I actually feel at this stage where GameFound has a draw, whereas Kickstarter doesn't, because Kickstarter has a draw in the sense that it was your only choice. GameFound has a draw as at the moment where it's all sparkly and it's new and it's shiny and we're all magpies looking at it, wanting to have it, and people are talking about what the next thing on GameFound was. That was actual news rather than just this thing has gone to crowdfunding, whatever that may be. So that, I think, is a very positive thing for GameFound, certainly in this first probably year or two. That people will be talking about the next things going on GameFound. Yeah,
because you had Lucky Duck put their game on, Kingdom Rush, the latest version of Kingdom Rush.
Yeah.
And then you've currently got Robinson Crusoe, Portal Games.
Yeah, Portal Games are going gangbusters, doing like insanely well. But I mean, when it got I was on a call with Marcin, and he was like, "Here, look at this. This is coming," and he showed us through it, and I was like, "Oh wow, this is this is a bit special." But I'm a big fan of Robinson Crusoe anyway. But then when I saw what was coming, I was like, "Oh, this is going to be pretty bloody big." And then when you see, like, the draft pages go up where you can sit there you can click to follow it and stuff like that, and it was like 10,000, 12,000, 15,000, 23,000. I dread to think how many followers it was by the time it went live, and every time I go back and look, it's gone up, and it's just doing really, really well. But it's a beautiful, beautiful production. If you like the big grandiose productions, they're not for everyone.
So is your job to kind of almost like do the business development side of things, kind of help kind of start to generate these relationships with
as I was saying, we were in this sort of closed beta, so we were invite only, so it's like it's people we either know very well, we've a long working relationship with, such as Lucky Duck, and or people that we know full well know crowdfunding. They know their stuff. They've done it plenty before. They've got really good proven experience, so that's been that's been really good. And then eventually, probably end of July, somewhere in August, that sort of territory, maybe a smidge earlier, that's when we'll open for submissions from anyone, know, and they will be vetted. It's not just going to be a case of, go for it, kind of thing. There's lots of processes you're going to have to go through, legality stuff, paperwork, proof of bank accounts and blah 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 blah, and all that sort of
everything. Like that.
Try and we'll do our best to we'll do as much due diligence as we can. We even went to the point with some of the ones that came on who had like either not outstanding Kickstarters or Kickstarters that were outstanding, but we said, look, we need proof of where you're at. We know you're saying you're where you're at, but we want to see images from the factory, blah blah blah. We want to see, So we're doing as much due diligence as we can, and we will continue to do that. And then so my role, I'm a key account manager. So essentially, what I do is when it was just the pledge manager, I was, I would trawl through the upcoming Kickstarters and stuff like that. Anything I saw that I thought, oh, that's interesting, or something I didn't know was already associated with maybe Backer Kit or CrowdWorks. I think, they've got a long-standing relationship. I wasn't really in it to poach business. That wasn't. I didn't want to kind of. And also obviously Martin obviously went to Backer Kit, came from GameFound, and we kind of basically had a sort of gentleman's agreement. Said, don't come for all of my accounts that you've left behind, and I won't start coming for yours, kind of thing. It's one of the nice things about the board game industry. It's extremely respectful. We kind of, it's like you're all in a bit of a team. You're all in it together. I'm sure there's some bad relationships out there, but that's not a general gist,
I've heard some stories about, some of the Bakery Kit type people. Kind of, there's been kind of crosswords in the past between people and stuff like that. So I'm aware there can be, but that's the same in kind of any kind of business. One of the things, I don't even expect you to answer this question. One of the things that gets leveled at Kickstarter is that it's not a level playing field for people who are coming with a really good idea but don't have the kind of the marketing spend or the knowledge and stuff like that. Are you just saying, well, we're here to provide this service and that's it? Or do you think is there a place for the smaller guys now? Or are we just going to continue to see the really kind of big, huge guys funding well and stuff like that?
I think it's a hard one to say. I think GameFound will be a better place for those smaller, Bob in his shed at the bottom of the garden projects, kind of thing. The more original intent of Kickstarter, those things that when this all first kicked off, the things that were genuinely small companies who needed this was the birth of those companies, kind of thing. And obviously that's just so evolved over the years now, and crowdfunding's become this kind of weird integral. It's like an internal organ of the board game industry now. It kind of doesn't survive without it. It's like if we took it out of us now, it would all slowly wither and die, kind of thing, or the industry wouldn't be the same in many ways. So I would hope that, yes, I think certainly for the first good period of GameFound's existence in crowdfunding, I think, it probably is a better place. And the trouble is, though, that the world of the board game industry has evolved so much that the marketing is so important. That there's just so many out there. I mean, look at, it's no different to the content creation world. You know, it's how do you start a podcast now? You know, it's really hard to stand apart from everybody.
Well, I mean, now that I've started recording again, the answer is you don't.
Well, exactly. I mean, like there was a brief 6 to 8 month window.
There was a brief 6 to 8 months window.
But they didn't take it. They didn't take it.
Well, I multiple times.
Yeah.
I offered people hosting to host their shows, and I hosted people's shows on my hosting space, and I was waiting to be like standing at the bar and somebody saying, "Hey, mister," and me turning round.
You really
and there was somebody.
Well. You're not even joking.
And there was somebody there, standing there, with their podcast in their hand, saying, "Reach for it." And I was just going to turn around and I was hoping they would shoot me in the ass. But nobody did.
But yeah, it's the crowdfunding and the whole just board game production thing is really like the content creation thing, where it's damn hard to stand, and put your head above the parapets and be noticed,
Yeah.
There's the old guard, as it were, that have been around forever and they've got their fans, and every now and then one kind of rises a bit and moves up to tier 4 kind of thing or whatever from the sort of bottom of tier 5, but to get up to those upper tiers of Dice Tower, Shut Up, Sit Down, I mean, I don't think that's even possible anymore. I really don't think, with Geek and Sundry, if you put like Dice Tower, Geek and Sundry, Shut Up, Sit Down,
me, no, okay.
If you put them at the top, and then you get down to kind of, I don't know, what is it, like Secret Cabal at that point?
Blue pig,
Blue
pink
pig,
pig. You're looking at no pun included.
Oh no, no pun included. Yeah,
you're getting kind of that kind of thing. Slicker Drips.
Yeah,
we're getting into silly names.
Board Game Barrage are probably up there now. I don't know what their numbers.
I don't really want to give them any type of publicity on this show at all.
Fair enough.
I don't want
and
anybody
then you get down to, This Game Is Broken is probably up there, I would think. Brothers Murph and stuff. Yeah. They've got a lot. They've got quite a decent pull.
Watch It Played. Oh my goodness! I just did an entire parody video about Watch It Played, and we haven't even mentioned them.
But then then you get up to obviously also like Sporadically Bored and stuff like that. It's really hard. It's really hard to get in amongst the mix of them alone, let alone to really the one sort of whoever it is beneath them.
Yeah.
And I think it's exactly the same in the board game world. It's exactly the same in the crowdfunding world. That you need to have you either manage to catch a lightning in a bottle, and for whatever reason, some little clever bit of marketing, or the sort of the patronization of somebody who has some weight behind them. They're just they're rare. They're rare little things that come along. But it's one of those things you can't, never say never, and I think, GameFound's a great spot for those people to not feel so, so much like a small fish in a big pond. You are still a smaller fish in a big pond, but it's just not as, it's not Loch Ness that Kickstarter is, kind of thing.
It's not as, it's not as big and pondy.
No, it's not as big and murky a pond.
It's more like Pontypandy
cryptids in it.
Big pondy full of sharks. Yeah. And I don't know where I'm going with this.
It's got to the point now where, like, people go, "Oh, when should I release a Kickstarter?" And like, then they do release it, and then they're like, "Oh, bloody hell! I didn't know that so and so was going to go live, on the same Thursday or whatever."
It's Kickstarter Tuesday. I mean, there is Kickstarter Tuesday, which is basically Look at Tuesday.
There's only 52 Tuesdays in a year on average, so you can't. You've got to eventually press the big green button and hope, and a lot of them, they cancel because because their goal of 50,000 was only beaten by 40 times, and they really wanted it to be beaten by 150 times. But
exactly.
the farce of the goal is something that baffles me in crowdfunding anyway. Stretch goals are another thing that baffle me.
Talking of things that baffle me, why when you went into content creation, you called yourself Standard Tabletop and not painting with no prior experience?
Because I didn't bloody think of it. That's why.
No prior convictions. I mean, there's a whole range.
I know. Don't open up old wounds.
I'm not opening up old wounds. I'm just saying I really love your logo, which is the Standard.
Well, that's because it's Gary King, and Gary King's a legend.
And Gary King is the legend, a legend.
Well,
that walks
and also
among
he
us.
is the reason it's called Standard Tabletop. It's not. He didn't come up with the idea of it.
Someday.
No. I had another name, which I can't
go.
even remember what that name was. But Gary's obviously he with the business, the kind of odd business that he is with his kind of like motivational art seminar things that he does. I've never entirely got my head around what it is, but it sounds cool, and he's obviously good at it. And so after Aircon and Gear Stones and stuff like that, and really getting to know Gary well, and realizing what an awesome person he is, and and I said to him, I really want to start a YouTube channel or something like that. How much would it cost me? Just do me a logo and a banner. I don't want a lot. And the next thing I know, then he rings me and we talking about it. He said, well, what do you want to call it? Stuff like that. And he was like, no, I wouldn't go with that because it doesn't tell anybody what it is. It doesn't tell a story and stuff like that. And I said, oh, well, there is this other one I thought about. There's a phrase called tabletop standard, which is painting minis to just a level where, like, on the tabletop they look good. You haven't gone through all sorts of different glazes and layerings, and you're not trying to win any competitions with these models, but you're just trying to get them from stood over a war game table, like, oh yeah, they look nice, bring them up to your face and you're like, oh dear, that's not that impressive, is it? But that's the sort of stuff I want to do, and it's the sort of stuff I like to do now. I don't, I used to aspire to those higher levels before, but then I realized actually I just like it to look nice, and I think either somebody had tabletop standard, or I
it was me. I stole it.
You did, yeah. Or it was that I thought, oh well, I'll do a play on it, as it were. So I said about that and explained that to him. He said, oh, that's perfect. That makes that means something. People will see that and understand it, especially if they know the actual phrase. So yeah. Next thing I know, he just sends me all this stuff, and he knocked it up so quick. And I mean, I love my logos. I think they look absolutely amazing. The guy, I thought he was an amazing fella anyway, but no, he just, and now with all the Core Quest stuff, he's on sainthood soon enough, isn't he?
Well, I just where did you get that? Where did you get that from? Kind of like when I was looking at the logo, I was like, there's no way he's drawn that, because I've seen you try to write.
It's all Gary. It's all Gary.
I was terrified to know that you were preparing meals with sharp knives, because I was like,
I've done that for years. I know my way around a sharp knife.
To be perfectly honest.
I am forever in debt. He's one of the few other people I'm forever in debt to, And sadly, I wish my channel and content and streaming and stuff lived up to the logos and everything that Gary produced, but they don't.
I think that's the best thing about it, is that you go along expecting something absolutely fantastic, and then, obviously I'm delighted with the fact that, I can look at the logo and think, this is amazing, and then look at the content and go, phew, I was terrified. Terrified for a moment there. Absolutely terrified.
Somebody's hacked this account.
No, that's not fair. That's not fair. That's not fair. It only sounds slightly true. No, But you should check. I mean, if people are checking out the channel, what would they find if they took a trip?
So I mean,
Standard Tabletop Towers.
I'm an annoying. This is the wrong word, but I can be a bit of a perfectionist, or I can be very, very, very self-critical. Is probably a better way of putting it. So when I was starting to make content, I wanted to make a whole bunch of videos so that I could sort of slowly put them out, and they could go out while I was making more stuff. So started making stuff, and I just wasn't happy with the space I have now and the video angles and stuff like that. I just couldn't produce anything I was happy with. And I thought I'd do some vlogging, and I realized actually editing, I enjoy it to a point, but I'm not particularly quick at it, and I don't see myself ever being particularly quick at it. But one thing I really always loved doing was the live stuff. I feel it kind of gets me across at my best as well. I really love doing all the stuff with Mark. Me and Dan used to do some painting streams every now and then, and I absolutely love doing them. So I kind of just thought, oh, okay, I could just do that again. That would be nice. And I started doing it on YouTube, and then I thought, oh, actually, I think live streaming, its home is really on Twitch. And also I wanted to do some like video gaming and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So I thought, okay, I'm going to move everything to Twitch. And what I kind of... it was also because I started watching Twitch a lot more, and I got into Twitch over lockdown. I started to understand it more as a platform. And I was like, okay, yeah, this is cool. I like Twitch. I think I can find a home here. And at some point, I probably had aspirations of having subscriptions and stuff like that. And then I kind of realized, actually, I don't want any of that, because I don't want the commitment and the what's the word I'm looking for, the feeling of the feeling of obligation to do stuff. No.
I know a lot of Twitchers. Do you call them Twitchers?
I think so.
A lot of them.
Yeah.
I think they Twitch.
Especially
if they're on their
streamer,
7th live stream of the day.
Yeah.
But you see them, and you see that they're, especially the ones that have maybe had to take a day off for illness or been away, and the first thing they do is you get like half an hour before the stream begins of a grovelling apology as why they weren't there, because people kind of...
Exactly.
I expect you to be there because I'm paying you $5.99 a month, which you get half of.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. And then, like, one of the other things is, obviously, I moved over to Twitch and stuff like that. But then, like, a lot of the people, like, some really nice, and I mean, I say a lot of people, not a lot of people, but I had some really, like, devoted people who, when I went live on YouTube, they would come along and have a chat, and I and even to the point of, like, they would come in and be like, I'm really sorry, I can't do it tonight. Have a good stream, blah, blah, blah. I'll try and catch it, I'll watch it on the catch up or something. I'd be like, that's really nice, and only one or two of those kind of was into Twitch or liked Twitch. So I felt like it was like I turned my back on my kind of very first people who enjoyed what I was doing, or I feel sort of supported what I was doing. So then I looked into it, and I found Restream, and I was like, oh, okay, so this thing allows me to do YouTube and Twitch at exactly the same point. I'm streaming to both. Right, okay. And one of my friends who does a lot of Twitch streaming kind of just for fun as well, but he does have some subscribers and stuff like that, but he said, oh yeah, Restream's really good, but when you get affiliate, which is like the Twitch monetizing, you won't be able to do that, because Twitch says in the terms, for the first 24 hours of a live stream, it's Twitch content. You can't be both. So I was like, bloody hell, this is why nobody does it. And I had wondered. I was like, why is nobody else doing this? And then I thought, well, sod it. I don't care. I don't want the obligation of somebody who's subscribed or thrown me bits or whatever, all this crap. I just want to sit here and paint or play a game or whatever, and for some people to come along and have a natter and enjoy it, and luckily there's a few people out there, weirdos, that do like it, and I really appreciate them for it. And so now I really like where I'm at, where I can stream on Twitch and YouTube at the same time. And the people who I sort of initially turned my back on, they've come back, and it's great, and it's really good. I've got to the stage now where I could be an affiliate. I think I might have to tick a streaming often enough box, and then I'll get the email. And I'm really looking forward to the Twitch email coming and saying, "Congratulations, welcome to the affiliate program." Again, no. Piss off, Bezos. Piss off.
Just wonder if you just to start being passive aggressive with people as well, just to say, "Oh no, we're at 49 followers. If we get like 50."
No. I really look forward to being able to tell Bezos to shove his affiliation.
See, because you're like the Bob Ross of miniature painting.
I know. I need a like that haircut, but I'm not that bad.
It's kind of going like, we're just gonna do the eyes.
We've got a happy little space marine. Just lovely.
It's like nothing wrong here. That purple's gone where it's gonna go.
Look at that lovely little happy little bloodstain. Happy little bloodstain.
And then I'm just gonna dry brush it. And then we're just gonna dry brush it, and then dip them in. There you go. Look at them. They're gonna be ready to storm the castle.
Maybe I should do. I've looked at like other streamers and stuff, because there aren't a huge amount of painting Twitch streamers. But there's a few. I found some really good ones out there, but they're all a bit of a muchness, and exactly the same as I am. I'm not doing anything really different. But I had wondered, because the ASMR thing kind of baffles me. I don't get anything from ASMR. I think it's somebody talking very closely to the microphone.
It is, isn't it?
And they just whisper in your ear. And I wondered if painting a space marine in this way would be pleasing to people, if they could hear the brushstrokes as they caress the model. I was thinking, do I do ASMR space marines? Do I do ASMR painting streams? I don't think I could keep that up, though.
You'll end up getting the DM coming through to say, "I really like seeing you painting the Marines, but is there any chance I can see your feet?"
Yeah. Where do I send dick pics to?
Exactly. It's just that way.
Yeah. So
you're just gonna continue that? Is it like just a continual hobby?
Yeah. It's become an extension of my hobby. One of the things I want to do. I've got a garage to my house that's not attached to the house or anything, but at the moment it is full of crap, as 98% of the garages across the United Kingdom are, and no cars in them. But it's a really good size, and I had wanted to do it last kind of spring and summer, but there was just lots of other stuff that I was told I had to do by somebody in my life. And so
Dan's terrible.
He is. It's he doesn't know his place. He shouldn't really be telling me what in my garden I should be doing.
Exactly.
But so this spring and summer, I would very much like to turn that into my sort of studio workshop, war game room, kind of stuff. And then I might then do more of what I initially wanted to do, but or the live streams will just look a bit better, really.
Which is just a win-win, because you get a nicer place to do stuff, and you can put a little fridge there.
Exactly.
Beer in it.
Yeah.
Sounds really, really
I
good.
am in quite a confined space. I think I do quite well with the space I have, because I've got a lot. I thought
Philip Schofield. You were in the bad books, to be honest. When I looked, I went, "Oh, somebody's having a podcast from under the stairs."
Exactly. I should have a little gopher with a man's hand up his bum here, or for the slightly younger, a duck, and for the really young, an aardvark.
Anyone who's American is not going to understand that whatsoever.
None of you know
a man who's got his hand up a gopher's bum, and it's like, oh, I didn't realise we were in South Carolina.
I didn't realise that was a hobby in England too.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But can you see the gopher's feet?
Because one thing I did think about was thinking, oh well, actually, maybe I should embrace the broom cupboard kind of feel to my office.
Just do that.
And I should
get posters up.
Well, I thought about could I could I get a puppet and have like, could I do like board gaming broom cupboard?
Yeah. Little space marine puppet. And you could have like blood angel wings painted behind you. So it just looked like you were sitting there with big huge Imperium wings. That'd be so cool.
I could do that. Something like that. Look at those shadows. Look at the two shadows behind me there.
That'd be so amazing.
Wings, just like
you'd be like Devil May Cry.
I could even have like so pull downs, so they're different ones.
This is such great podcasting, and the fact that nobody can see what we're talking about at all.
Imagine me in a small room, and also if you have watched the Aircon streams, you've seen me in the cupboard. What was actually sold to me on a deed of land rights and everything as a bedroom, apparently.
Wow,
it's
amazing. It's amazingly small. Board games.
Oh yeah,
because we never talk about board games. Have you had any? Is there anything you've got to the table recently that you would maybe give people a quick mention of? Because I've got one I'm going to give a mention of as something I got to the table quite quickly, and I was just wondering if you've got anything that you would.
Well, when we did have like a brief window, me and my friends, we kind of decided we were gonna, because obviously I've got an extensive collection and lots of games and stuff like that, but we decided like there's certain games that we absolutely love, and we were like, no, let's really kind of delve into a few games and play the crap out of them, move on to another game, play the crap out of stuff. So the one we were doing that with, which is a big favourite of ours, is Chaos in the Old World, is the first one. I love Chaos in the Old World. We all did anyway, but now we've got a group of 5 of us, and we're going to really, really kind of get the hang of that game and really be as good as we can be at it, because it's a good one to do. Because being in with the forces being asymmetric, and having to convert the way you play depending on which side you are, and obviously then in the nature of the game when you're playing it as well, not only do you have to, you were Slaanesh last time or you're Nurgle this time or whatever, you say you've got to, right, okay, I know what I have to do to win against Nurgle, but as Nurgle, but then now, I'm this time I'm clearly neighbouring with Slaanesh and I'm going to come up against them quite a lot. I haven't actually fought against Slaanesh much, kind of thing. So there's lots of rooms for really getting the hang of it. So that's one. Yeah, I mean, I love that game. That's, that was kind of one of the earlier games in my collection. And obviously me and my friends all came from like Games Workshop collecting and stuff like that. So it's kind of, we love the whole lore behind it and stuff. So it means quite a lot to us. That's a game I love. And then, what else? So just before the latest sort of lockdown started, my friends and I had also started King's Dilemma.
Oh, okay.
We've literally only done the first crack at it. I think it's from Horrible Guild Games, I think is their name. I think it's Horrible Guild.
They do the Dragon's Castle, which is like a Mahjong kind of type game.
And I think they just had a Kickstarter, like Tiny Car Racers or something like that.
Yes, I saw that as well.
Yes,
It wasn't Tiny Epic, because it was Tiny Epic.
It was essentially Micro
Dungeons.
Machines, the board game. Micro Machines, the video game, the board
game.
So yeah, we just started that, and that's a really, really fascinating game. I think you would call it a legacy game. It is essentially a legacy game. Because you've got stickers and stuff. So yeah, it's definitely legacy. So you basically, it's Game of Thrones. You each play a different house, and all these, was it the King's Council? Is it the council that was in Game of Thrones? Yeah, and then, you all these situations come up. You're kind of running. I think the king has gone missing, I think is in the story. So you guys are all, keeping the empire going. All these weird dilemmas keep turning up, visitors from foreign lands, or blight in crops, or all these sort of different things. And between you all, you have to vote on what way you're going to deal with them, and then you have kind of these resource tracks in the middle. So like you'll have like the wealth resource track and the kind of food resources resource track, and then like knowledge and technology and other kind of standard kind of things. But then also at the start of the game, you'll get like a hidden goal card, which will basically say where you want these tracks to end at the end of this sort of season. Okay. So you might want the kingdom to have increased its wealth considerably and have, so they're like a sliding scale, kind of like there's the middle and you've got minus 10 to plus 10 either side sort of thing. So yeah, you'll be like, I want these in the top third and I want these in the bottom third, or I want everything in this half or whatever. So you're bidding with power that which is your sort of sway and influence. So you're bidding on these things, and then you could kind of like blackball things or step out of things to get a little extra power and kind of build up for something, because you might not care that much. And then you can obviously make deals and all this time. And then through all of this, you're opening up these envelopes with new stuff in it and all sorts of, all this story keeps going. And, I mean, after just one game, we were like, "Oh, this is a bit good, this is a bit bloody good, And it's one of those games I've said for a long time now. A game has to do two things. It has to be a fun game on the table, but often I really like it to be a fun game up here above the table. I don't mind a dry Euro where you're looking at your thing and you're being as efficient as you can be. I enjoy them from time to time, but I play games to interact with people and my friends, and that's what I really look for in GameFound. King's Dilemma has King's Dilemma has
He's been indoctrinated. You can hear that. You can see that. He's got what you can't
slowly
see
being brainwashed.
Is that Luke's got nothing but GameFound wallpaper everywhere he looks.
Did I show you my GameFound tattoo?
I can see reflected in his eye. I saw the tattoo down your face.
Oh, hang on. Did you see which one of the GameFound tattoos have you seen? Because I've got 7 now.
I seen the one where you'd replace the vowels with the faces of your kids.
Oh, that's my favourite.
It's a beautiful
work.
I like there's a little bit of sense. Yeah. I like this kind of.
They came out better than I expected. My son's a little cross-eyed in it, but it's good. It's good.
It's 3 inches high, so I don't know. It's kind of really, really, really.
I think across my neck was a bold place to put it, but it's the right place.
It's gonna do really well for you in prison.
I'm not going back. I said that.
Not this. You have to commit fraud to be there.
But yeah, that really ticks the box of the game above the table, and I really loved that. Played a lot of Marvel Champions as well, not as much as I would like. I haven't had the solo gamer renaissance, revolution as a lot of people have had, over lockdown. I kind of got more back into my painting. And stuff like that, and I kind of.
I think a lot of people have. Yeah. I think you got that extra couple of hours when you're not commuting every day. I think you end up kind of, what can I use that time for? Yeah. I could use it for painting, which is pretty good. I think myself, jumping into a bit of Queen Domino.
Now I'm a big fan of King Domino. With the expansion, the Land of Giants one, is it Land of Giants or something of the Giants?
Yes,
I think that just ramps King Domino up to a really nice level. And I've wanted to play Queen Domino, but I look at it sometimes and think, does it just turn what I think is a really nice, pleasant game into a bit more of a gamer game that I just don't need? So I'm interested to see what you think of that.
In the time that we've played, I can wholeheartedly say that it will intrigue and disappoint in equal measure. In that people who love King Domino for the purity of King Domino will absolutely be surprised at what Queen Domino brings to the table. For people who are experienced gamers, who are wanting a bit more crunchiness to their castles, they'll welcome Queen Domino as it contains a couple of it. It's almost like King Domino, but here's some extra ways to gain some points, and there's a little bit more strategy involved in how you gain the points. And so when I've played it, it's certainly a much higher age range, I would think, because it takes that little bit extra thinking. It's very fun. It's actually very easy to learn. It's not as easy as the original King Domino, and it's certainly not King Domino plus like King Domino is with the Giants expansion. There's certainly a whole other level over and above that.
Would you say it's a game all of its own? And that it kind of...
I would...
yes. It shouldn't... Almost, if it wasn't called Queen Domino, it wouldn't be remotely related to it, other than an overarching logic to it. It's
definitely very domino. It's still laying the dominoes, and you're still building your 5x5 grid or your 7x7 grid. But then you're increasing the ways that you can score points, because you've got the ability to build buildings on top of certain spaces.
Right.
And you've also got the ability to actually generate money to build buildings through kind of like knights that you have. You've got an opportunity to bring a knight in, and they'll tax an area and give you coins that you can then use to build buildings. There's also an option to be able to build towers. And if you build a tower, then you bring a queen into your kingdom. And the person who has the most towers, they keep the queen, and that lowers your kind of construction cost. And it also means you get an extra crown at the end of the game. So you can imagine, I was confidently able to put King Domino in front of anybody from about the ages of 5 or 6, knowing that within literally 5 minutes they'd be able to grasp the game. King Domino is definitely kind of more of an 8 or 9 range, kind of going up. I'd probably be quite happy to put Queen Domino in front of folk at the games club, and knowing that they would play it because there's enough strategy kind of going on. But I'm back and forward with it. King Domino was just yes. I remember the first time I played King Domino was I went, this is quick and simple and elegant, but strategic and fun, and it's easy to go back in. King Domino with the Giants was this is brilliant, fantastic, but you've now got the giant card. Oh well, I've got the footprint, so now you've got the Giants kind of thing.
I like the little the extra if you meet this little goal as well. That's a nice just addition. Yes. Somewhere else to look at a point, or two.
So Queen Domino is definitely the next stage up, and it's interesting because if you look at the entire range, because there's a even smaller entry level game called Dragonimo, which is essentially if you match, it's like dominoes. You play 2 dominoes together. If they're the same colour, you get to put an egg token in the middle. If you flip the egg token, if there's a dragon there, you score points. If there's not a dragon there, then you get the mummy dragon. The mummy dragon means you play first the next round. So that's entry level. So it's like there's an entire range
that actually sounds
of
quite
games
fun,
all
though.
the way from... That is 4-year-old upwards.
Right.
That's 4-year-olds, very, very kind of light casual game. Queen Domino is kind of approaching areas of surprisingly more complicated and strategic than I thought. There was definitely some thinking decisions, and that's not... It kind of took me by surprise. I must say.
Do you feel like, because my logic is that I have no kind of fear that I wouldn't enjoy Queen Domino. I'm sure if I played it, I'd think, yeah, this is really good. I really like it. Do you think, though, I would say actually I really like King Domino with the expansion, as I say. I think it just feels such a real nice, light... It's in the Carcassonne realm for me.
Yes.
It's very, very similar in that I just enjoy playing it. I don't take a lot of games seriously anyway, but it's very nice and chilled, and it's Ticket to Ride and stuff like that. It's just fun, really nice game. Do you think I would play Queen Domino and go, oh, actually, yeah, I need to own this as well? Or do you think I would just look at it and go, I just don't need Queen Domino? Because it's taken it from this is light, fun, family game to a gamer's game where I think, but now it's got to compete with other gamers' games, and it doesn't quite hold up to them.
I would say it would depend on your current collection of games and where you are in your life cycle of how many games you have. And also if your reason for having King Domino and King Domino with the Giants expansion was because you could get the kids off the Nintendo or the PlayStation for 5 minutes and you could all sit around the table. I think that's the way I would look at it. I enjoy it for what it does and what it is. It's not complicated enough, it is thinky enough, but also at the same time I have concerns over actually having to stop and explain the rules again a couple of times, which kind of, even in King Domino before, it was a case of, shall we play it again? And that filled me with a bit of concern. It is almost a case of, how do we crank it up a level? And I can see them wanting to do that because they've got a really, really good idea. So if you can imagine, it's kind of like a game that's based on the best parts of King Domino, which was the whole part of King Domino, and they're now trying to expand on that and look at it that way. Yeah.
No, it's good. I know one of my friends has it, so hopefully I will get to play it at some point.
Oh no, yeah, definitely play it. I would say absolutely play it. Would it? Yeah, absolutely play it because it is definitely good fun and a little bit more thinky, I think, than you expect. Because we got halfway through, and one of the games we played was the youngest came last by 20 points, and me and my middle boy, we tied. He got it pretty quickly, whereas my youngest didn't as quickly. So there you go. So I'm gonna actually, I've got an idea. I'm gonna potentially put a video together on everything, or maybe if I'm not putting a video together on it, I'm gonna put a written thing together on it. But we shall see. We shall see. I don't know. But I just wanted to mention a couple of games that we've been talking about. But the other thing that we need to mention.
Have you bought many games over lockdown?
No.
Not at all?
No.
I bought a handful. I bought more miniatures games, but then I've been painting a lot more and stuff like that. And but I've only bought proper board game wise Tobago and Res Arcana, I think, is the only. Oh, and some of the expansions for like Marvel Champions. I think that's about it.
I just haven't bothered. I've seen no need to.
Yeah.
It's just been really difficult to kind of say, okay, this is complicated, and am I going to get this to the table, or am I not going to get this to the table? And I kind of put an awful lot on pause. I used to be one that would just say, okay, I'll get that because I've been wanting to get after it, and then have it there for playing. But now recently, I'm still not sure what's actually going to be happening. So I've kind of like it put. Nah, I've not. I just didn't bother. You know. And the kids, I mean, I've been lucky in the case that I have been kind of getting stuff on a regular basis anyway. Mm-hmm. So it's kind of like I've had to get that stuff kind of played. And then because the lockdown's putting you in a situation where I was playing a lot of games with my son, and he stays with his mum, so I was seeing him intermittently, and there was points where you weren't seeing anybody at all, and there was still games that were trying to cover and make stuff up for and things like that as well. So it was kind of putting you, so it was almost like a time pressure type thing. So I haven't looked and actively went, okay, I'm going to go out and get this, and this. I'll need to see. I think it's made me decide. It's going to put me on the place where it says, well, actually, I've managed to keep it limited to a cupboard full. And I'm not had to go further than that, and I probably won't need to go further than that. I'll probably get punt a few things away. So there you go.
Yeah, I've found it very refreshing to not buy stuff. Yeah, for the most part.
But we don't want people spending money. Look, we want people spending time, because we want people to be spending time watching you, listening to you.
No, spending time and wasting time are two very different things.
There's no. What people will want to know is if they want to find you on the internet webs, where do you exist on the internet webs?
On the webs of Inter, you can find me Facebook group for Standard Tabletop. Twitch is Standard Tabletop as well, and as is YouTube, Standard Tabletop. That's where you will find me. Or hunt me out in the Sporadically Bored group, and I'll send you a link.
Send you a link to those things, or you could just we could put them in the show notes.
You could do that.
So we've got notes to show.
That's your responsibility.
Basically,
really.
That's what we'll do. That is what I will do. That will take that responsibility, and I shall do that. If you want to keep an eye on what we're up to, then there's a couple of places. You can just search We're Not Wizards, you'll find us. You'll find us on, there's Facebook, there's a Facebook group, which is We're Not Wizards group or something like that. I think you can find us, but we'll put links in the show notes. There's the Facebook page, which is We're Not Wizards. You can find us on Instagram and Twitter,
I'm on Instagram.
and and we're on Twitch, but we don't do anything, and we're on TikTok, but we don't do anything, and we're on all these different. We've got our blog, which is we'renotwizards.co.uk, and you can find all the episodes to the previous podcast on we'renotwizards.com, and you want to look at these videos on YouTube, you can go to youtube.com/c/We're Not Wizards Tabletop Podcast, and you'll find us there, but we will put everything that we've discussed in the beautiful notes.
Fabulous.
Thank you very much for coming on.
Thank you for having me on. I mean, season 6 is only going to get better from here on out. I mean, it's.
I think the best way to do it is to start off kind of underwhelming people a little bit, and then letting you talk.
That's what I do. So my wife
letting
tells
you
me.
talk, so everybody's now built up in a crescendo, like some kind of acid bad trip. And then when this is over, they'll sit down and they'll realise it could have been an awful lot more. No, it's not. It's been lovely to talk.
Yeah.
To you, definitely.
It has been an absolute pleasure. I wish I got to talk to you more. As you know, and everybody's very happy you're back in the podcasting world, at least.
We'll see what happens. There's only a couple more things to do.
What's that?
The first thing is to say a big, huge thank you to the rather wonderful, rather fantastic Mr. Luke Pryor. Thank you, Mr. Pryor. And if you would say goodbye.
Bye-bye.
And it's a goodbye from me. Remember, stay safe, roll sixes, make something awful. And, if you're going to go tabletop, don't work too hard. But also at the same time, don't be lazy. Just, go for something in the middle. It's a bit standard. Because look, it's so very, very standard. But until the next time, goodbye.
A wizard is never late. Nor is he early. He arrives precisely when he means to.